Hey guys, how you doing there? This is Tony Porter, Cards and Dice TV, and I'm making a left turn today, and I'm going to play a game that I own a lot of. It's Replay Baseball, both the Ventura and the Norm Roth and John Braddock versions, the earlier versions and the modern version, especially from the late '60s to the late '70s. I own like 10 straight seasons of both. And I really, really feel nostalgic and attracted to the original replay that really Norm Roth and John Braddock began in 1973, and their first season was the 1972 set. And the first of all, John Braddock owned a um, printing company, or worked in a printing company in Pennsylvania, and he was able to get the sets printed, and he used a very cool looking early '70s style font, which it really is a time travel experience to me and takes me back to the '70s. The book and the way the language is, and again, the font of the chart booklet. I'm using chart booklet 3 to play the 1973 World Series, which I watched on TV the other day. John Matlack opens up in game one against the Oakland Athletics and Kenny Holtzman. Just a little bit of history on Replay Baseball. It started out very slow. I think they printed about 1,000 copies of 1972, and they didn't sell very many. But little by little, they kept at it, and they kept on improving the game every year. These are two APA players that played APA Basic. There was no advanced or master level APA at that time, and they just felt that um, improvements needed to be made. So they devised a system where you would add the pitcher and the batter numbers, and then you would get a result off a chart. And I, you know, they went in this direction. They felt that APA needed this change, and they weren't getting everything they wanted from APA. I think they approached Dick Seitz, and he just basically was not interested in their tweaks to APA. Seitz was a guy who basically kept APA pretty much the same, some minor tweaks here and there over 40 years. But he was a business guy who didn't want to mess with a recipe that worked for him. Gamers, of course, play thousands of games, and eventually they're like, wow, I'd really like to see this thing that's lacking in this game, you know. Um, and that's when they try to, eventually they design their own. Most, I think, designers grew up on APA and Stratomatic primarily, and then, of course, in a couple other games. But they're definitely influenced by Strat and by APA. This game has definitely APA influence primarily. Um, And so by the early '80s, it began to create and attract a fan base, and they started having conventions, they started having a journal, right? But by the early '90s, there was a lot of financial demands put on them by the MLB, and they eventually just folded the company. They didn't want to pass the costs to the consumers. The game lay dormant until the mid '90s, when it was picked up by another gentleman. I don't remember his name. And he put out a couple of seasons, but then again, it lay dormant until Pete Ventura showed up, and Pete Ventura began to again print sets and create sets and add tweaks and tweaks and tweaks till we have the modern version of Replay Baseball as well. I'm much more comfortable, and I find the original earlier system much easier to play. It uses 2 dice instead of 3, and it's easier for my brain to focus on. Um, so what you're going to see today is Game 1 of the 1973 World Series between Kenny Holtzman for the Athletics, John Matlack for the Mets. I started the game to just warm up to it. I haven't played it in months, and I think I'm comfortable with it. Now, bear in mind that since this is my first game, I'm going to kind of be very conservative. I'm going to avoid, unless extremely necessary, the bunt, the hit and run. I'm not going to make a ton of pitching changes. But it is 1973, so there's not a lot of offense. And back in the day, it wasn't it wasn't customary to change pitchers. I'm using the actual lineups from Game 1 of the 1973 World Series, and let's see what you think, and let's see how it goes. Tony Porter, Cards and Dice TV. Remember to like and subscribe my channel, and join Universal Baseball Association Facebook group. Also join all its affiliated groups on Facebook as well. And I will, let's play. All right, so this game does have a ton of chart book lookups, because every time you roll, it's going to be on a different column. Now, I don't have everything spread out, on a big table. I do have a fairly big desk, but it's filled up with lots of other card sets and rules and dice and Post-its and so on and so forth, and multiple screens. I got 3 computer screens. So let's go over what happened so far in the game. In 2 innings, the Mets have only been able to manage a walk against Kenny Holtzman. It was a Jerry Grody walk, and the A's have picked up 3 hits and scored a run. It was a double by Tennis, a single by Alou. They held Tennis, but then it was a grounder with the infield in. They held the runner at third. There was nobody out. And then, of course, a sacrifice fly to center field to Don Hahn by Dick Green, scored the only A's run in the bottom of the second. So we're going to the top of the third. It's Harrelson, Matlack, and Garrett against Kenny Holtzman. So let's do it. Let's roll. And here it is. It's a 2, column 2, which is a 3 and a 6. It's going to be a 5 on column 2. So we are going to go to column 2, and I have this chart book turned around. It's important to keep this chart book in order. So column 2, and what do we say it was? It was a 3 and a 2 is a 5, column 2, and that's a strikeout. So Harrelson, who doesn't strike out very much, strikes out here. And that's 1 out. Here's John Matlack. He has his own card. The pitch from Holtzman. It's a 5, which is a 1, and then a 4. It's a total of 5 on column 5. Let's get over there. Column 5. 5 on 5, and that's going to be a ground ball to short. Scooped up by Campaneris. Throw to Tennis, and in time to get Matlack, who was hustling down the line. So there's 2 out now. So it was Kenny Holtzman, column 5 was a 1. And then, of course, John Matlack, column 4 was a 2. So he should have been a 3. Yeah, I looked at a 4 there. So I double check since I'm haven't played this in a while. So it's kind of tricky here to get to the, and that, what did I say? It was a 3, a ground ball to third base. I said it was a ground ball to shortstop. There you go. Problem solved. Wayne Garrett with 2 outs here in the top of the third. And that's going to be a 2, so that's going to be a 3, and then a 6 is a 5 on column 2, and that's another strikeout. So that's 3 strikeouts in this game. No runs, no hits. We go to the bottom of the third. Garrett strikes out, and it's going to be Campy, Rudi, and Bando against John Matlack. Matlack struggled a little bit in the second inning where he allowed a double and a single to lead off the inning. and then he was able to get the next 3 batters. But in between, there was a sacrifice fly by Green, and a run scored. So it's 1-0 Athletics in Game 1 of the 1973 World Series using actual lineups. The lineups for the Mets is Garrett, Millan, and Mays, Jones, and Milner, and Rudi, Hahn, Harrelson, and Matlack. This is a classic World Series, a classic game. For the Athletics, it's Campy, Rudi, and Bando, Jackson, Tennyson, Alou, Fosse, Green, and Holtzman. So let's do it. Here's a pitch to Bert Campaneris, righty hitter, and that's going to be a 5 and a 5. So it's a 4 and a 7 is an 11 on column 5. And we have no idea what that is until I memorize some of this. And that's a hit by pitch. So Campy is plunked. And he is on first on a hit by pitch. Again, I'll just double check it until I really get the groove. 5 and 5 is an 11, and that is a hit by pitch on column 5. So Joe Rudi now. Rudi popped up to the infield in the first inning. Matlack looks over at Campy, throws the ball over, calling card toss to let Campy know that he's on him. And Joe Rudi batting from the right side against the lefty Matlack. He's ready, and Matlack checks in with Rudi, and from the stretch delivers, and that is a 3 and a 4. A 3 is a 3, and a 4 is a 29. That's going to be a 32 in column 3, and that is going to be a hard hit ball right to the left fielder, and positioned perfectly is Jones. So it's an F7. It's a line out to the left fielder on a 32. And again, that's a 3. A 3 and a 4 is a 32 on column 3. So 1 away. And here comes the captain, Sal Bando. Bando popped up to the infield as well. John Matlack delivers, and that is a 5, a 4, and a 4 is a 7 on column 5. That could be a walk, and it will be base on balls. So Matlack loses them, and that puts runners on first and second. Still no hits here in the third inning, but a hit by pitch and then a walk. So Matlack has lost a little bit of the plate here in the bottom of the third inning of Game 1 of the 73 World Series. Reggie Jackson next. If you want to check out the highlights of the 73 World Series, go to 73 World Series, and the YouTube carries the series. And Kurt Gowdy does a nice little 20-minute, highlights of the World Series. Very nicely done and really gives you the feel of the 70s. Reggie Jackson, big power hitter for the A's in 1973. So it's lefty on lefty. So this is a big batter here with 2 on and only 1 out. John Matlack is going to have to reach back with a little extra to deal with Reggie Jackson. Doesn't want to leave one over the plate because Jackson will make him pay. Jackson checks in with Rudi, and he doesn't like what he sees, and Grody's going to come out to talk to Matlack, and they're going to try to get on the same page. Okay, so now Matlack is ready, and he delivers to Jackson, and that is a 54, and that is a 4, and another 4 is an 8, and this is going to be a ball 4, and he's going to load up the bases. So that is an 8 base on balls, and the bases are loaded now, so Matlack really struggling with his control here. Trying to really pick out the corners, and he's not getting the calls. So he's a little frustrated as well. He is talking to himself on the mound. Here comes Gene Tennis. Gene Tennis doubled in the second inning and scored a run. Tennis has good power. Bases loaded, 1 out. So the Mets are in a precarious situation here with where Tennis, with 1 swing of the bat, can really give the Athletics a somewhat comfortable lead here early in the game, and the Mets don't want to put pressure on their offense to have to come back all these runs. So this is a huge batter for John Matlack, and the Mets are going to play the infield halfway, hoping to pick up the double play. So let's see what happens. We got to stop rolling the fives. The fives are killing us. And here it is, Gene Tenace against John Matlack, 1973 World Series. Here's the pitch, and that is a 22. That's a 2 and 11. That's a 13 on column 2. Let's see what that's going to be, and that's going to be a base hit to center field. And runners advance one base with 2 out. Runners advance from second on throw home runner, blah, 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 blah. So it's a single, and only 1 run will score. Bases are still loaded here. So a single by Gene Tenace. He picks up an RBI. And bases are still loaded with 1 out. Next up is Jay Alou. I don't know that his name was Jay Alou. I thought it was Jesus Alou. But they call him Jay Alou for some reason on these cards, which is pretty funny. Probably a mistake. So the bases are loaded. That's part of the charm, right? Bases are loaded, 1 out. Jay Alou is up for the Athletics. And again, we're going to play the infield in now. We're down 2-0, and we don't want to fall behind anymore. So we're going to play the infield in. John Matlack is really struggling here. And let's see what happens. Here's the pitch to Jay Alou. Infield in, and that's a 66. That's a 2 and an 8. That's a 10 on column 6. And a 10, and that's a base hit, single to center. Runners advance 2 bases. A 1 runner only advances 1 base, but I don't even think Tenace is he's a 3. So 2 runs come in, and that I think is going to be all my friends so 2 RBIs for Alou and his second hit of the day. So Alou with a big hit is a 66, and that's a 2 for Matlack, and an 8, that's a 10 total. We look at column 6, and it's a single to center. Runners advance 2 bases. And a very slow runner, of course, would only advance 1. He would clog up the bases, and the Mets have fallen behind right now 4-0. So they're going to go to the bullpen, and they're going to go to McGraw. Yes, sir. So I really like the tall pitcher card because you lay the pitcher down and you can read the pitcher and then you can go to the batter. So I really like that about this game where you have the tall pitcher cards and he fits perfectly behind the hitters. It's going to be Tug McGraw now, the lefty, versus Jay Alou, a righty, with runners on first and third. Infield in for the Mets. They trail 4-0. Matlack just did not have his control and then started coming over the plate to get strikes, and the A's took advantage of it and started slamming or lining the ball all over the field. And so 5 hits allowed by John Matlack in basically 2 1/3 innings. So he truly struggled. He also gave up 2 walks and a hit by pitch. No home runs. All right, so it's going to be Ray Fosse coming up. And here's a pitch from McGraw. That's a 3, so it's a 3, and the 6 is a 23 on column 3. 23 on column 3 is going to be a fly ball center field. Runner scores from third. Who's on third? Tenace. If center fielder 23, if center fielder has a higher number, he throws him out. He does not, because Mays is a 3, Tenace is a 3, so it's going to be a sacrifice fly to center again. Another run comes in. That's 5-0 A's. Yikes. And that's 2 away. So comes in the third. And next up, so Ray Fosse picks up a sacrifice fly, and it's Dick Green. Dick Green picked himself up an RBI in the second inning. Here's the pitch from McGraw. It's a 1 and a 5. It's a 35, so it's a 2. Column 1 is a 2, and a 35 at 5 is going to be a 37. Column 1, 37, and that's going to be a ground ball to short. Infield is back, and that'll end the inning. But 4 runs come in on a couple of hits, 4 runs on 2 hits, 2 walks, a hit by pitch, and the Mets are in a hole right now, down 5-0 as we start the top of the 4th inning. Wow, I can't get this to work. Hold on a second. There, 5-0. And it's going to be Felix Millan leading off against Kenny Holtzman. Here's a pitch. And that is a 5 and a 2, and that's a 1 and a 2 is a 2. Column 5. 2, column 5. That's a ground ball to first. 1 away. Scooped up by first baseman Tennis. Next is Willie Mays, who grounded out to short. And that is a 5, a 1, and a 4 is a 3. And this will be another ground ball to somebody. This time it'll be to the third baseman. And that is Bando. Fires a strike to Tennis, 2 away. And here is Cleon Jones. A 1 and a 2, that's a 3 and a 4. Column 1, a 4, strike 3, and that retires the side. So no runs, no hits, 3 up, 3 down. We go to the bottom of the 4th. So Tug McGraw against Kenny Holtzman. Pitcher hitting card 66. That's a 3 and a 7. That's a 10, and that's going to be lined for a base hit single for Holtzman. A 3 and a 7 is a 10 on column 6 is going to be a single to center field. So Holtzman singles, and he's on first. Next is, oh wait, why is Wayne Garrett there? Okay, Wayne Garrett should be put back in the leadoff spot here. Hold on a second. I want to make sure. Oh, Millan, yeah. Millan, Mays, there we go. All right, everything's back in order. All right, so Bert Campaneris pitch, and that's a 26. It's a 2, so it's a 2, column 2, a 2, and a 6 is a 7, column 2, 7, and that's going to be a pop-up foul ground. Rudi over near the stands, and he makes the catch, so it's a foul out to the catcher Rudi for the first out. Here's Rudi, the pitch from McGraw. It's a 6 and a 3. It's a 19, column 6, 19. That I believe is a fly ball to right, and it is fly ball. Oh, 19. Oh, fly ball to left. Since it ended in a 9, I was like, okay. Deep fly ball to left, runner on second and third, advance 1 base. So it's an F. What did I say? F7, 2-way. And next, and that was a 6. Let's just go with a 3. Yep, there's a 19. Sal Bando, 2 out, 1 on. Sal Bando with a 1 and a 5. It's a 2 and a 37. Column 1, 37, and that'll be a ground ball, second base. Back, runner goes to fielder, throws over to first to retire the side. So no runs, 1 hit, 1 left. Go to the top of the 5th inning. Game 1 of the 1973 World Series. This series went 7 games. Some interesting anecdotes. Darryl Knowles, he pitched 7 games. First time in history that a relief pitcher appeared in 7 games. Nope, it's going to be John Milner. John Milner, here's a pitch, and that's a 22, a 2-2. So it's a 3, it's a 14, column 2, and a 14 is a base hit, lines 1 to the opposite field, a single for Milner. He's on at first. Next is Jerry Grody. Pitch to Grody with a 1 and a 5. That's a 3, a 38, column 5. And that column 1, 38, column 1. And that's going to be a ground ball to short. Halfway, second, it's going to be a double play, 6-4-3. They turn it. So Grody hits into a double play, a soul crushing, not inning ending, double play for sure. And it's 2 outs with Don Hahn batting. Here's a pitch, and that's a 3-1. And a 3 is a 3, and a 1 is a 34, column 3. 34, column 3 is going to be a line drive. No, it's going to be a drive. Yes, a line drive to left, and that's in the gap. And that's going to bounce off the wall. Rudi plays it nicely into second baseman, into shortstop Campaneris, but Hahn is in there with a double, a 2-out double. And it was a 3, it's a 3, and then a 1 is a 34, column 3, of course, and that is a double to left. So 2-out double, that's 2 hits in this inning against Holtzman. And it's Buddy Harrelson with a 3 and a 1, and that's going to be a 7, column 3, and that is a base hit to left. Runner advances 1 base. If he has a higher rating than the left fielder, and I don't think so because Rudi is a pretty good left fielder, and Hahn is running, plus we're down by 5, so we're going to just play it safe. First and third, and unfortunately we have a pitcher coming up. All right, so we're going to bring in, where'd he go? Teddy Martinez to hit for Tug McGraw. Kenny Holtzman versus Teddy Martinez, 2 on and 2 out here in the top of the 5th. The Mets trail by 5, but they are threatening. Teddy Martinez is a switch hitter. He'll be batting righty against the lefty Kenny Holtzman. This game is played. The original score of this game was 2-1. Oakland played October 13th, Saturday, October 13th, 1973. Where were you? Here's a pitch. And it's a 4 and a 3. That's a 4, which is going to be a fielding column to the first baseman. It's going to be, I believe you, and the number, the first baseman's number. First baseman is Tennis. Let's see. Tennis is a 4 first baseman, so a 17 and a 4 is a 20, 21. 21 with the infield back. On column 4 is going to be a single off the infielder's glove. Runners advance 1 base. So Hahn will score. Going to second is Harrelson. It's an RBI single off the first baseman's glove. Almost like a range play on that. And first and second with 2 outs. 5-1 now. So the Mets have cut the lead to 4. Wayne Garrett up, lefty on lefty. Here's Kenny Holtzman, checks in with Ray Fosse for the sign, and he sets and deals. And that's a 3 and a 2. A 3 is going to be a 3, and a 2 is an 11. That's a 14, column 3, 14. And that will be a line drive and caught by Bando. Great catch by Sal Bando at third base. So Wayne Garrett takes the ball the opposite direction, but Bando was positioned perfectly, of course, leaning towards the shortstop since Garrett bats lefty, and he was able to snag that line drive right out of the air. And that ends the inning. The Mets come up with only 1 run on 4 hits. And we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Score is 5-1 Athletics. All right, Reggie Jackson leads off against Ray Sadecki. So the new pitcher for the Mets is Ray Sadecki, a lefty. And McGraw went 1.2, gave up a hit, no runs, no walks, no strikeouts. Here's pitch. And that's a 1 and a 2, and that's going to be a strikeout. So Reggie swings and misses at a fastball, and Sadecki picks up a strikeout. Next is Gene Tennis, pitch from Sadecki. It's a 1 and a 1, and that's going to be a 17, column 1. That's line base hit to left. Now, roll 1 die. If higher than the left fielder, batter runners take an extra base on an error. So the left fielder is Jones. Jones's fielding rating is in left field is a 3. So if I'm going to roll if it's higher, it is not. So it's going to just be a single for Tennis, and Tennis is 3 for 3, 2 singles and a double with 1 RBI today. So Tennis is having quite a day. 1 out, 1 on, and it's Jay Alou. I thought his name was Jesus Alou, but so be it. The replay gods know more than I do. Here's a pitch, and that's a 6 and a 2, and that's a 3 and a 2 is a 10. That's line base hit center field. Again, I memorized that one already. It's happened 3 times. Single to center, runners advance 2 bases unless he's a 1. Tennis is a 3. So going to third will be Tennis. He'll be first and third here against Sadecki, who is struggling a little bit here, to say the least, in the bottom of the 5th inning. So again, the A's offense is basically putting on a show. So far, the A's in this game have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hits in 5 innings. Next is Ray Fosse with runners on first and third. Going to play the infield in. Here's a pitch. And that's a 2 and a 3. That's a 2 and a 3 is a 6. Hopefully that's a strikeout. I believe it is. Struck him out. Big K for Ray Sadecki. And 2 outs now, and here comes Dick Green. Dick Green is grounded out and flied out, picked up a sacrifice fly. He's 0 for 1 on the day. He's got runners on first and third, 2 outs. Ray Sadecki needs to get Green here. You definitely don't want to fall behind anymore. The Mets trail by 4 runs, 5-1 here in the bottom of the 5th. Game 1 of the 1973 World Series. And here we go. Dick Green with Alou on first, Tennis at third. Sadecki checks in with Rudi. He likes it. Stretch end the deal. And that's a 3 and a 1. That's going to be a 34. Column 3, a 34. That may be a double. It's a drive, and it falls in, and that's going to clear the bases. Unless the left fielder is higher than the runner. Alou is a pretty good runner. Alou should be a 4 runner, I imagine, but he is an outfielder. Let's see what happens here. Hold on. Could be out at the plate. Alou's a 3, and our left fielder is a 3. So 2-run score and 2-run double for Green. And now the 7-1 Athletics. Yikes. So that was a 3, which was a 3 and a 1 is a 34, column 3, and we're going to double check that and reread it. And 34 is a double to left, clears the base. The left fielder has a higher rating than the runner on first, out at home. So next up is Kenny Holtzman, and we're going to keep him in the game. And that's a 2 and a 6, and that's going to be a 7. Column 2 is 7, should be pop-up, foul ground, catcher Rudi in foul territory makes the catch. 2 runs come in on 3 hits, the big hit, 2-run double by Green, and it's 7-1 Athletics go to the top of the 6th. Yikes. All right, back to the game, top of the 6th. The Mets trail 7-1. Felix Mian leads off against Kenny Holtzman. And it's a 3. It's a 23 on column 3. Let's see what happens. 23, and that's a fly out to center field. Over is center fielder Jackson. Under it and squeezes it for out number 1. Willie Mays up next. Willie Mays is 0 for 2 today. He's grounded out twice. That's a 6 and a 5 is a 38 column 6. 38 column 6, and the result is going to be a strikeout. Swings and misses, so Mays. You can see that age is catching up with him here in 1973. And Cleon Jones is up next. Okay, so it's Cleon Jones up now. He's 0 for 2. He's grounded out and struck out Kenny Holtzman. And that's a 5-4, and that's going to be a 1 and a 4 is an 8. And that's ball 4. So Cleon Jones walks. Let's just double check that. There's a 1 and a 7 is an 8. That's a base on balls. And next that is the second walk allowed by Holtzman. And here comes John Milner. He bats lefty versus the lefty Holtzman. Here's a pitch, and it's a 2 and a 3. A 2 is a 3, and a 3 is a 1. Struck him out, and that retires the side. Column 2, and it was a 3 and a 1 is a 4, and that's a strikeout. So that ends the inning. No runs, a walk, 1 left. Bottom of the 6th. It's going to be the top of the order. Campaneris, Rudi, and Bando banging everything all over the place. Here's a pitch from Sadecki against Campaneris. It's a 3 and a 6. It's a 22, column 3. And that's going to probably be another base hit. Who knows? Now it's going to be a fly out to right this time. Right fielder Don Hahn drifts over, settles under it. Joe Rudi. Rudi is 0 for 3. He's flat out twice and popped up. That's a 1 and a 3, a 2, and that's a 6. Struck him out. Column 1, 6 is a strikeout. 2-way. So Rudi's not having a good day. He's 0 for 4. Here's Sal Bando, who's 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. And that's a 2 and a 4. A 2 is a 2, and a 4 is a 7, column 2. 7, column 2 is going to be popped up, foul territory behind the plate, and it's Jerry Grody. So no runs, no hits, 3 up, 3 down, top of the 7th. Here we come. Jerry Grody leads off against Holtzman. It's a 1 and a 5. That's a 3, and a 5 is a 38. That's a ground ball to short. Campaneris up with it, fires a strike to Tennis for out number 1. Don Hahn, 1 for 2 with a double and a run scored. The pitch. It's a 5 and a 2, and that's a 1 and a 2 is a 2, so 5, column 5, and a 2 is a ground ball to the first baseman. That's Tennis. Steps on the bag ahead of the speedy Hahn. And here's Buddy Harrelson. Buddy Harrelson's 1 for 2 with a single, and it's a 2 and a 1. That's a 3 and a 1. 24, column 2. 24, column 2, and that's going to be a ground ball to the second baseman. What did I say? 22 1. That's going to be 3 to 24. 24 is ground ball 3 to 1. That's a 24. It's hard for me to. 4 to 1. And there's an error. I mean, there's an injury. I'm not playing any injury, so it's going to be a 4. A ball that's hit between the first baseman and the second baseman, and Tennis moves away from the bag, and it's the pitcher covering, so it'll be the second baseman. 4 to 1. No runs, no hits, 3 up, 3 down. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning stretch. 1973, October 13th, Saturday, game 1 of the 1973 World Series. It is Reginald Martinez Jackson versus Ray Sadecki. Jackson is 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts and a walk and a run scored. That's a 5 and a 3. That's a 3, and a 3 is an 8. That's ball 4. So Jackson walks for the second time. And again, I'm looking at these to memorize them. So from 6 to 10, they're base on balls, and the rest are hit by pitch on column 5. So here's Gene Tennis. Gene Tennis having a great day. He's 3 for 3 with 2 singles and a double. That's a 66. That's a 3 and a 6, a 14. And he may get a drive one deep, a 14, and that's way back. And that's off the screen. A 2-run homer for Gene Tennis, and the score is 9 to 1. Yikes. So Gene Tennis having the day of his life. 4 for 4, a double, a homer, 2 singles, and I believe that's going to be it for Sadecki. We're moving away from Sadecki. He went 2 innings and gave up 4 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk, a strikeout, 3 strikeouts, a walk and 3 strikeouts. And it's going to be Parker. And we're going to have to pull a double switch. Double switch. Crane pool. will be batting ninth. And he will play the outfield. Will play right field. Double switch. Pitcher will go into the Hans spot in the seventh. Double switch. And it will be Parker who will come in and pitch for the Mets. Not Stone, but Harry Parker. It's a right-hander. All right, it's Harry Parker versus J.L. Liu. Jesus Liu. There's a pitch. And a 4 and a 6. The 6 is a 2, and I believe the 2 is the catcher. No, it's a second baseman. Second baseman will be Mian. And Mian is a second baseman of a 2. Second baseman of a 2. So that's 3 altogether, and that'll be a ground ball to Mian. He fields it cleanly for out number 1. So Liu grounds out to Mian. And here is Ray Fosse, who is 0 for 2 with a sacrifice fly. That's a 3 and a 1. That's a 7. Column 3. 7, column 3 is going to be a single to left. So Fosse 1 for 3 now, and he stands at first base with a single. Next is Dick Green, and a 5 and a 5. That's a 3. It's a 10, and that's a ball 4. Here is Holtzman, who's still in the game. And it's a 6 and a 1, and that's a 38. That's a strikeout for the second out. And Bert Campaneris with 2 out, 2 on. It's a 1 and a 3, and that's 2 and a 3 is an 8. Column 1, and that's popped up. Middle infield shortstop. Harrelson makes the catch, and that retires the side. 2 runs come in on 2 hits. And a couple of walks. They leave 2. And we go to the top of the 8th inning. 9-1. Athletics. And Cranepool leads off. He was brought in on a double switch when Harry Parker came in. And that's a 4 and a 4. That's a 19. A 19. And the 4 is, I think, is also a second baseman. Or no, it's the shortstop. Shortstop Campaneris is a 2. So a 19 plus a 2 is a 21. Infield back, and that's a single off the infielder's glove. So a Cranepool reaches on a single off of Campaneris' glove. And top of the order for the Mets coming up. Now Holtzman went 7 and completed 7, has allowed 1 run. So I believe he goes to his B side now. We'll let him stick it out a little bit on his B side. It's a pitch, and it's a 1 and a 3. A 4 and a 3 is an 8. Column 1 and 8 is popped up. Middle infield shortstop Campaneris calls off the second baseman Green for out number 1. Mian is next with a 4 and a 5. That's again 4 and a 5 is going to be a 2 to the third baseman. Third baseman Bando. A 2 and a 3 is a 5, halfway with a runner on first. And that's going to be a 5-4-3 round the horn double play to end the inning. So big double play turned by Bando, who backhands it, goes to second for 1, back to first. So no runs, 1 hit, nobody left. And the Mets offense just can't get anything going. We're going to the bottom of the 8th inning. Joe Rudi leads off. Rudi's 0 for 4 today, a 1 and a 2. That's a 2. And that's a strikeout. So Rudi 0 for 5. One of my favorite players. Guy who I've really never reached a superstar status. He was valuable for sure. Just never reached, got a big free agent contract with the Angels in '77, but never really panned out. always suffered injury. He was not very durable. Had a lot of struggles with injuries. Once he got that contract with California, I don't think he ever played a real full season. His basically his best days were with Oakland. Sal Bando now with one out. Harry Parker, again a 4 and a 3. That's a 16, and that 3 is going to be the third baseman. Third baseman is Garrett. And what did we say it was? 13, 16, and Garrett is a 3. So that's a 19 with the infield back. And that's going to be a ground ball that's played by Garrett. Fires to first in time to get Bando, who's hustling down the line. So close play at first, thanks to Bando's hustle. 2 out here in the bottom of the 8th. 9-1 A's. Jackson, Reginald Martinez Jackson with a 6 and a 1. That's a 2 and a 1. That's a 38. Struck him out for the third time today. No runs, no hits. 3 up, 3 down. Last licks for the Mets. Top of the 9th. Mets are only need 8 runs to tie, and it's Holtzman still in there with his B-side. And let's do it. Willie Mays leads off with a 5 and a 5, and that's a 3 and a 9. That's a base on balls. Trying to get Holtzman through this. Next is Cleon Jones, a 1 and a 2, and that's a strikeout. So Jones strikes out against Holtzman. Here's John Milner, the pitch, 1 and a 2 again, a 4 and a 2. That's a strikeout. Back-to-back Ks for Holtzman. He may go the complete game. On his B side, a 1 and a 2 for the third time. Strike through. Oh, no, it's not. It's an 8. It's a 4 for Holtzman. This time it's a 4 for Rudi. So that's an 8, column 1. That's popped up. Middle infield again. Campaneris calls for the ball, makes the catch, and the ball game is over. No runs, no hits. And the Mets leave 1 in the 9th. They lose it by a score of 9-1. The Mets had 4 hits, and the A's had 2 there. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hits. Errors, let's see, any errors? A's had none. And the Mets also had no errors. So it's 9 runs, 10 hits, no errors for the A's. Against the Mets, 1 run, 4 hits, and no errors. Game 1 goes to the Athletics, and the loss is going to go to Matlack. The win and complete game goes to Holtzman. Gave up only 4 hits. Struck out 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Struck out 7. Walked 1, 2, 3. Gave up only 1 run. 1 earned run. And there was no fingers. There was no nulls in this game. Not necessary. And that's about it. This is Tony Porter, Cards and Dice TV. Replay Baseball. Remember to join your Universal Baseball Association Facebook group and all its affiliated groups. And like and subscribe to my channel so you get more cool stuff and entertainment. And I will see you guys very, very soon. Game 1 goes to the Athletics. They beat up on the Mets and their staff. Parker went a couple of innings, gave up a hit and a walk and 3 strikeouts. So a hit, a walk, 3 strikeouts, and no earned runs. And he went, 2 innings. Stone never came in. And again, the loss goes to Matlack. The victory goes to Holtzman. I'll see you guys soon.